Here's the debate. I get this question asked every single day. Should I buy a house with interest rates where they are today? And in this video, I'm going to answer that question. Now, this is the first time you're checking out my channel. My name is Seanu Uyehara. I'm an area manager with Geneva Financial, and I created my YouTube channel to help you understand the mortgage world and hear it straight from us to help you get your mortgage right, so that way you don't make the mistakes that I see other folks making every day in this industry. Now, if you need a second opinion on your purchase or refinance, you can always send me an email. My email's in the description below. There's links to more information as well and resources. And if you need a pre-approval, my team can certainly help you across the country, help you get into your new home and build your real estate portfolio. Now, like I mentioned, this is a question we get asked every single day, not only for clients, but real estate agents as well. People are always wondering, should I buy with interest rates as high as they are, or should we wait? And I really think that this question is not a blanket answer type thing. It more depends on you individually as the client. Everybody else has a different reason, a different motivation as to why they may be buying properties right now. And then you have some folks that are simply just not ready, whether it's credit, whether it's their savings, whether it's their job stability. So I think you really have to answer this question for yourself, regardless of what the media says, regardless of what your friends or family, or even what I say. I think you really need to dial that in for yourself and ask some of the tougher questions. And I think this is one thing a lot of people fail to do, because most of us have no budget. We have no sense of savings. What are we planning for the future? And a lot of times we're just shooting from the hip. So I think in today's market, you really have to look at your finances individually, see where you are financially. How much money do you have saved? Do you have a nest egg? Are you contributing to a 401k? One thing we're seeing quite often, and the news keeps talking about this, is how high credit card debt and consumer debt has risen. Not only that, but our savings rates are probably one of the lowest that we've seen in the last probably few decades. So as a potential buyer, I would first analyze those two things. Where am I at with my savings, and where am I at with my credit card debt or consumer debt? They say the average consumer has nearly $90,000+ worth of debt right now, whether that's a car loan, student loan, credit card debt. And I don't know about you, but I recently looked at my credit card statements, and usually I never do this, to look exactly what was the interest rate on the credit card. And it ranged anywhere from 25 to 28%. Now, this is crazy when you think about how much interest you are paying on credit cards, because most of us don't pay it off every month. So these are things that's eating into your ability to save, eating into your ability to put away a nest egg for yourself and have some down payment money. Now, I know we always talk about the fact that there's down payment assistance programs, or there's a lot of low down payment programs like the USDA loan, which is 100% financing, VA loans, and obviously some of the down payment assistance programs that I've shared with you over the years. However, you still have to take into account your moving costs, everything else that goes into being a homeowner. So if you have no money saved, I don't think this may be the right time to buy. I think you really have to start putting some money away, so that way in the event of an emergency, you do have some money to save you. Now, you don't want to go full leveraged and just go leverage yourself all the way to the hilt, because this is the things that people did back in the 2007 and 8 crash. Credit cards were maxed out, home equity lines of credits were maxed out, and people were just spending money and putting everything on credit cards. You don't want to put yourself in that position again. And I really don't think that the economy is as great as the media makes it out to be. I honestly think a lot of people are struggling, and I think a lot of people are living off their credit cards right now. So if things get worse before they get better, do you want to be in a position where you're debating, do I pay my credit cards, not pay my credit cards, or the fact that maybe they're maxed out and now you don't have any other way to pay your bills or put gas in your car or anything else? So you really have to answer these questions right now in today's market to determine whether or not you should be buying a home. We really need to dial these expenses and your overall financial situation in, because you don't want anything to happen that we saw a repeat of 2008 all over again. Now, on the flip side, let's say you have some money saved. Let's say you have a great job and it's very stable. I think you should look at the opportunities that are out there today, because there's always two ways to look at every single real estate market that I've ever gone through. When I look at when I started my career back in 2007 and 8, there was so much chaos that was going on. People were losing their homes. There were bankruptcies left and right. People were getting divorced. People stopped paying on their mortgages. But I had a group of investors that were buying properties. They saw the opportunity that people were losing their homes. Well, fortunate for them, they were able to buy these properties on pennies on the dollar. They kept buying properties throughout 2010, 11, and that was kind of the bottom of the market. And they continued to buy properties, whether they paid cash, got hard money loans, or they financed them traditionally. I think there's still opportunity right now because interest rates, yes, they have gone up. So many buyers are now on the sidelines simply because they're focusing on the one thing, which is the interest rate. But then you still have a vast majority of people that are looking at the opportunity, whether it's the fact that you can negotiate more with the seller, or maybe that sellers are willing to get rid of their properties because maybe they're over leveraged. So there's so many ways that you can get into real estate regardless of where the market is, whether where interest rates are 7% or in 2020 when interest rates were 2%. There's always two ways to look at that market as well. Some saw it as, yes, the best time for interest rates. Also on the flip side to that, how many buyers quit buying in that market because they didn't have the extra $20,000 that they had to go over the sales price, or the fact that they wrote 30 offers and nothing got accepted, so they just gave up. So every single market, I really feel that there's opportunity and there's also going to be some frustrations that go along with it. But when you look at real estate over the last 50, 60, 70 years, very rare that the market ever loses. Now, there have been some years, obviously during the '08 crash, where home values plummeted, but the vast majority of those years, if you go look at any real estate chart, the appreciation is always there. So if you're playing the long game with the housing market, most likely you will win. Now, there's no guarantee that that could happen because obviously homes could continue to lose value and who knows what could happen in the economy. However, if you bet the long game, which I think most of us as real estate investors and real estate professionals, we truly believe in this asset class. And we believe that the returns will come, but you have to be patient. So despite interest rates being at 7%, the one thing I would urge you to look at is look at what the monthly payment is for yourself. I think the payment is the most important thing because you're making your monthly payment to your mortgage company. The interest rate is the interest rate. It doesn't matter what you want it to do. It's going to be what it is. Yes, you can buy it down. You can look at adjustable rate mortgages. You can use temporary buy downs to get you a lower interest rate, but nonetheless, you're making that mortgage payment, and usually your interest rate, whether it's 1/4% higher or 1/4% cheaper, you probably wouldn't even notice the difference on a mortgage payment. So look at the mortgage payment first, then start to determine whether or not you can or cannot afford that. And one other thing I really would stress you to really think about is dialing in the reality of what you can afford. I've talked to far too many people lately that are looking at first-time home for themselves, that they're looking at prices in the $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 range. And I think when people look at homes, they ignore the fact of what the payment is online. Now, I know Zillow and Redfin, they'll usually post some sort of payment on there for you, but you have to remember to look at the terms of how they're determining what that payment is. And more often than not, they're using a 20% down payment and probably a subpar interest rate that's going to be a lot lower than maybe what you could get, or you're going to have to pay several points to get that low interest rate. So those two things alone can be very deceiving because I've talked to a number of people that I'll ask them like, hey, have you started looking at homes online? And more often than not, they'll say yes. So I'll ask them, hey, what price range of homes are you looking at buying in? And they may say the $500,000-$600,000 range, but then I'll ask them, what do you feel comfortable paying for a mortgage every month? And their answer will typically be significantly less than what a $500,000 mortgage payment is. So that disconnect right there, you have to fix that. Whether it's you looking at, again, your finances and really determining what you're comfortable paying, or not looking at the house that's completely out of your budget. Because don't get me wrong, I love looking at houses myself. But if I'm looking at a $3 million, a $4 million house, I understand what that mortgage payment is. Now, if you're looking at a $600,000 house and you're not prepared to pay $4,000 plus a month in mortgage and your comfort level is $2,000, you have to drink the reality tea here. You can't be looking at homes that are just totally out of your budget. It's a waste of time and you're getting your hopes up because when we try to pre-approve these clients and we have to give them the harsh reality of, look, you don't qualify for what you want, something has to change. You either have to go find another job, get a side hustle, start saving more, get rid of all the frivolous spending, but most people don't want to do those things. So you have to work within your budget. And guess what? For some of us, your first house is not going to be that $500,000 house, unfortunately. It may be a townhome, but you know what? If you get into the townhome first, get your finances in order, this is where now you can use the powerful benefit of home equity to build wealth for yourself. And then guess what? When you sell sell that house, maybe it's worth another $150,000 more. You can't save $150,000 in a short amount of time that a house can appreciate in that time frame. And I can tell you from doing this for 15 years, most clients that tell me they're going to wait and they're going to save money, they never save money. As Americans, we have a horrible habit of not being able to save. I mean, it's been documented over decades and decades of time. So thinking that you're just going to save an extra $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in a number of 2, 3, 4 years, it's very, very rare that I've ever saw a client do that. Unless you're selling a company or you're just super disciplined, it's very rare that it happens. So if you can get your foot in the door, regardless if interest rates are 7%, 10%, 2%, that equity that you're going to build is life-changing for most of us. And that's how you get your foot into building wealth. That's how you buy the $500,000 house, the $1 million house that you always dreamed about buying, whether it's for you, for your spouse. But you got to start somewhere. And most of us, when we buy our first car, we don't buy the dream car that we want. You get the hand-me-down maybe from your brother or your parents, and you don't like it, but hey, you just drive it. So same thing with your house. Get your foot in the door. Don't be stubborn with the fact that you have to have your dream home, because for most of us, that's not a reality, especially where home prices are today. So get your game plan together, get your finances in order. If you need a worksheet, if you need some help on where to start, don't hesitate to reach out to us. I love having these conversations because I know we can impact you to get you into a home. Shoot us an email. Be happy to chat. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.